How's it going, Jets fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Moran, and taking a look at new tight end Tyler Conklin and why he's excited for this upcoming season. Spoke a little bit about Zach Wilson, what he's kind of seeing in Zach and why he's going to be a good quarterback this year, maybe just take a developmental leap forward. But Conklin's a really exciting player. Like there's an argument to be made. He's either TE1 or closer TE1A or 1B compared to CJ Uzomah. You could make the argument that either are the top guy, but I think it's kind of a 1A, 1B type of situation. They're both going to be heavily involved, 12 personnel sets. And Tyler Conklin obviously has the receiving ability, had one of his best years last season. So we'll kind of take a look at his numbers, what he's going to bring to this team and what he said about this squad after joining in free agency. And a lot of these players are very excited to be on the Jets team. And I guess it might be an obvious thing. They have so much young talent and they're really rebuilding, maybe having this like dynasty kind of mentality. But, Ryan, before we dive into Tyler Conklin, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Alex. Going into free agency, really Tyler Conklin and Jordan Whitehead were honestly two of my top free agent targets for the Jets. So it was pretty thrilling to really get them after that first day. Obviously, you get Laken Tomlinson and CJ Uzomah, and getting Conklin after Uzomah and still drafting Jeremy Ruckert. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better overhaul at the tight end position for Zach Wilson and Michael Flohr going into year two together. Joe Douglas really did a great job, and Conklin was someone who was definitely flying under the radar. I think you just look at the contract he got compared to what maybe some other tight ends on the market got this offseason. This is a guy who can run and pass block. He's played in a similar type of system with the Minnesota Vikings, obviously, with Gary Kubiak's son, and, just kind of the carryover with Michael Flohr and the offense he runs, really coming from that Shanahan system. So there's definitely a lot in common there. And you just look at what this guy can do in the passing game. Obviously, last year was his first opportunity really getting a featured role, and he proved his hands. He's very reliable catching the football. He's a security blanket in that sense. And this is a guy with good route running ability. He's a guy who's going to create separation. So there's definitely a lot to be excited about. And, I'm looking forward to really seeing Conklin just build on what he did last year.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at his contract really quickly. The Jets signed him to a 3-year, $20.25 million deal. His cap hit's only $3.37 million this year. It goes up to $8.4 million in 2023. But then they have an out after 2023. Before the 2024 season, basically, it would only be $1.6 million in dead cap money, but they would, have to pay him $8.4 million otherwise. So, what are your thoughts about that contract?
Oh, for sure. I think it's similar to what Douglas did with a lot of the deals. I mean, heavy signing bonus amounts and keeping the base salaries low because they had so many draft picks that they were going to have to fit into the budget. So they really gave themselves a lot of room up front this year. And I think it's pretty standard from there. I mean, typically most NFL contracts are guaranteed for 2 years with an out in the third year. And I think that's to be expected. And the value, like I said, I thought was relatively strong based on what Conklin did last year. He turns 27 this upcoming month. And I think he's somebody who's just, primed to really continue to grow.
Definitely primed to grow. So last season, Tyler Conklin, 10% of his snaps, he actually went out, split out wide in the slot, which is kind of cool. I wonder if they'll make him kind of a jumbo slot option at some points, but mostly an inline tight end, 83% of his snaps being inline. Good pass blocker, good run blocker, pretty solid receiver, picked up 593 yards last season and 3 touchdowns. He's a decent red zone threat at 6'3" and 254 pounds. This is a guy who I think is going to make an immediate impact in the receiving game, can also help tremendously in the blocking game. You put him next to, out on the right side next to Mekhi Becton if he's at right tackle, and Elijah Vera Tucker, you're going to have a pretty nice little situation going on the outside zone runs with Breece Hall or Michael Carter. So I'm pretty excited to see, how they can get Tyler Conklin involved and how CJ Uzomah also gets involved out there. They can do a lot of really unique things with these tight ends. And obviously, the Jets have kind of had a weird situation at tight end the last couple of years. Ryan Griffin, not a bad player. The era, who was this? Chris Herndon. He, had that one awesome one-handed catch, and then everyone was really excited about him, and then he didn't do anything. So, ended up trading him for a draft pick at the very least. So not a bad situation there for the Jets. But now you got Tyler Conklin, you got Uzomah, and you got Jeremy Ruckert. 3 very good tight ends who, have a lot of upside left to untap, in my opinion. And, Conklin had some really exciting things to say about this team. He said, I can't wait for training camp. It's been too long. I'm excited to play games. And, he said specifically about Zach Wilson, I'm really excited about playing with Wilson. I love his arm talent, his arm angles, and the way he can throw. It's a catchable ball. He's got a quick release, and it's super athletic. He's also a mobile quarterback who is able to get out of the pocket and make big plays. So far the locker room, definitely he's said a lot of great things. The whole locker room is awesome. Coming from Minnesota, we were a bit of an older team here. Nearly everyone is young. We have fun at practice, and the whole tight ends room is great. CJ is a great guy, always happy and positive. I look forward to playing with him by my side and side by side. So obviously, like Zach Wilson, the arm angles is something that we talked about pretty significantly the other day. And I think that that's going to be the difference maker for Zach Wilson this year. He just has to have a stronger base when he's throwing shorter completions. But Tyler Conklin, how important is it to have a good tight end for Zach Wilson? Like the security blanket underneath, having a guy you can rely on. What is the importance of having that for Zach this upcoming season?
I think it's integral, really, to be able to, just have. I think of tight ends just what they can do on early downs. And if they offer that run and pass blocking ability, obviously it kind of helps off play action. And on third down, you just look for that guy over the middle who can consistently move the chains. And I think that's what Conklin's going to provide for Zach. And even from there, I mean, Michael for the first month of last season, obviously tried so many 2 tight end sets, and then with injuries and just a lack of talent, he really couldn't stick with it. So I think knowing that's a staple to his offense and having someone like Conklin along with Uzomah and Ruckert is really going to potentially give this offense even more room for growth. And I think with Conklin, it's just the consistency that you're looking for, catching the football and routinely getting open, that he's going to continue to provide to this offense.
Yeah, it's true. And Tyler Conklin specifically, where he makes the most impact is 0 to 9 yards away from the line of scrimmage in the direct middle of the field. He's going to be running a lot of hook routes, just kind of being that big body frame that Zach Wilson can kind of just like rely on. Against linebackers, he's pretty good, so he can take advantage of coverage, management rather. So like where you're going to see him make the most impact, 0 to 9 yards, middle of the field. He had 79 yards and 2 touchdowns in the left side of the football field from 0 to 9 yards after the line of scrimmage. Doesn't really get downfield very often for obvious reasons. Only had 32 yards in the middle of the field, 40 yards, in overall, if you're looking at medium depth per target, so 10 to 19 yards away from the line of scrimmage. He had 112 yards last year, 58 yards, 20 plus yards downfield, and 366 yards when it comes to short concept, 0 to 9 yards from the line of scrimmage. And then behind the line of scrimmage, 57 yards. So you're expecting him to be more of a security blanket underneath. Do you think that they'll use CJ Uzomah the same way? Or do you think they'll maybe attack the seams a little bit more aggressively with him?
That was the exact point I was thinking. It's what's nice about the way Douglas constructed this group is that there are complementary skill sets. And I think with Uzomah, you have more size, speed, yards after the catch ability. Obviously, in this offense is a pretty key point to it. And I think Uzomah is really more of that vertical presence down the seam, running vertically, and just has some more athletic ability to him to where, he can really complement Conklin very well in the passing game.
Yeah, we can hope so. They can do a lot of cool things, especially if they bunch them together. I'd be really curious to see if they bunch them together in like a slot situation, what they could do there, even like two on the same side. If you're just running plays or play action, the play action is going to be awesome with those two guys on the field. That's going to be super fun to watch. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspective on CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, what you guys think they're going to do this upcoming season, who you think will be the tight end wonder, will have the better campaign in general, how important it is for Zach Wilson to have a great tight end. It really is, like you mentioned before, some tight ends got pretty lucrative deals this year. Like Evan Ingram signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think Conklin's a much better player, having watched Evan Ingram for 5 years now. Conklin's a better player. He can pass block, run block. He's not as athletic as Ingram, but he definitely is a capable receiver, and he doesn't drop the football that often, which is pretty nice. That's a big one in my opinion. He didn't drop the football at all when passes going downfield. He had 1 drop last season, so he's a very reliable guy in that respect. But of course, love to hear your opinions below in the YouTube comments. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Jets episode.